Love, exciting and new.
Hello, Hannah Waddingham here. Have you seen the fabulous new Sun Princess? World-class entertainment, exceptional dining, and the greatest pizza ever.
It's a love.
Don't miss our Come Aboard sale with up to 40% off and free room upgrades. Visit princess.com or call your travel advisor to book. Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Offer ends 2/28/25. Ships of Bermudan and British Registry.
This episode is brought to you by Abercrombie. There's nothing better than the perfect jean and going out top combo, or an outfit that perfectly matches your plans. Abercrombie's relaxed jean goes with every occasion. Date nights with something lace, or daytime with a cozy sweater. And their barrel jean will surprise you. It's the trend that will become a staple in your wardrobe. Abercrombie denim comes in tons of rises, fits, and washes. Find your perfect pair online or in store.
Like my story, before I turned 50, I was getting close and I'm like, I think I need to change directions here, because I was a graphic designer for 25 years. And I'd had success at that too, getting serious about the investing side of my world. And I met my business partner, Toby, who was on the same path, similar age, and wanting to use real estate investing as a way to build wealth and actually freaking retire, because a lot of people aren't on the path to retirement these days. And we definitely weren't. Dove into investing and started really analyzing all the different ways to invest. And we looked at regular rentals, long-term rentals. There's a lot of downsides to that. Upsides too, but you can get a bad renter and have vacancy and damage all the things that everybody's afraid of, right? And then fix and flipping. I don't even consider that investing unless you take the money you get out of the profits and actually invest in something that gives you passive income. We didn't have experience in that. And of course, if we were to go that direction, we'd hire a mentor and have somebody that's got our back, as we were starting from scratch. We knew those weren't really good fits. We figured there was other stuff. We were researching all these different models. And so we started with rent to own, got a good mentor, an OG in the industry, and then didn't really have the success we wanted right off the bat with him. And then discovered another model, similar, both rent to own. So we dove into that with a different mentor, combining what we knew about both models. And then I don't know if you have any questions right now, because we still do that. And then we've pivoted and, I guess, added the other models you talked about too.
Yeah, which is really interesting. And dive right into the question is, one thing is we talk about this idea. What was really interesting is, because I got into real estate, the first thing was I house hacked it. And at that time, it wasn't really called house hacking, but I'm always interested in new things. And there's the buy, rent, rehab, refinance, repeat, these BRRRR methods. So you say your favorite ways are through co-living. And what is co-living?
Co-living is renting by the room, sharing kitchen and living room. It's not a new concept either. What's cool about it is you can run it like a business as an investment, or you can house hack, like you were talking about, where you actually live in the home and rent out the other rooms. I know a lot of people that do that. I've got friends that are in my age bracket in their 50s that are doing that. It's not necessarily a fit if you're married and have kids to do a true co-living where you might have 6 or 8 bedrooms in a house. If you got a whole family, you might be able to have a locked off basement or an ADU, grandmother type apartment separate from the house. But if you're a younger person, it's such a good fit if you don't mind living with other people. And, when I was in my 20s, heck, that was what we did, right? You had roommates so you could afford to live in a house. So you can actually combine that with co-living. In fact, so we work directly with PadSplit, which is like the Airbnb platform for co-living. They help us fill rooms, screen residents, or they're members of the community as opposed to like tenants with PadSplit. So we work alongside with them. And so they've actually they kind of had a rule for a bit that you couldn't house hack, that you couldn't live there also, but they've opened that up. So that really gives a lot of opportunities for people trying to get in that maybe would be held back, benefit from the additional cash flow you can get out of co-living, because you can make more than you can with a long-term rental. And that's like for Denver as an example, we have high prices similar to Austin, maybe a little bit higher depending on the area, but it's hard to cash flow like with a long-term rental, especially when you start adding in capital expenses and vacancy. Co-living, it does have higher expenses too, because like we clean the common areas at least once a month. There's a little extra management because we've got PadSplit and whoever's hosting it. You have to calculate all that. We've got a spreadsheet like any other investor. We would plug in all that stuff, account for vacancy and expenses and management, all that. Anyway, it's a way to actually make it work in a market like Denver.
Yeah, and I figure Denver is very unique because it's a ski city, and you have short and long term, and you got a younger demographic, and it was like you were saying, it's a different purpose, and it's not like a residential like here in Austin or Houston or other cities, which makes it really unique. Next question is, you talk about, and I assume rent to own, meaning like you basically you sign a lease and you rent it, and a portion or all of that down payment goes to the down payment, and at the end of a certain term you can purchase it. Can you describe more for the audience?
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways rent to own can be set up. So what we're doing is we're helping people that can't qualify for a bank loan right now, but have a chance to in say a year or two or up to 10 years. So those end buyers that fit what we do are usually self-employed people. So they've got money to pay up front because there's a non-refundable option consideration that they pay that amount. So like we're always shooting for 10% of the purchase price. So in the Denver market, $600,000 house, 10% is going to be 60,000. So we're shooting for kind of a base of that 10%. And typically the buyers that have that but can't get a loan are self-employed people like me. I'm self-employed. I'm also a realtor. Banks don't like self-employed people. They've got a lot of check boxes. And so usually, especially newer self-employed people, they've got to flip the switch and maybe not write off everything on their taxes and make sure they document and claim enough income and file their taxes. Some people, they don't file their taxes. They got to have a couple of years of tax returns for the banks to give them a loan. That's the buy side, the end buyer. Then what we're doing is two ways we do it. The way I like is find the buyer first, let them pick out a home that they want, something on market, and then we buy it, or one of our investor partners buys it and rent it to them until that end buyer can purchase it from us. Like I said earlier, usually they're 1 to 3 years, maybe up to 10 years, but usually it's that kind of shorter. Within 3 years, they get whatever they need to do, take care of so that they can get a loan from the lender. That's how we like to do it. We call it a reverse lease option. So as opposed to having a property and then going and trying to find that buyer that has 10%, like you can find people that have $5,000 all day long, but somebody that's got 60, that's harder to find. They're out there, but it's just easier and a better plan to have the buyer already to go and then let them pick a house that is the perfect house for them. They're not having to pick out of some inventory that is usually non-existent. If you go to a rent-to-own company website, they might have some on their website, but they're usually not something they have inventory that's vacant. I mean, houses don't sit vacant, at least in Denver, very long if it's a good home in a nice neighborhood. So usually what those homes on those websites are just examples of homes that kind of fit their box. Metro area, medium price range, in a good neighborhood that's going to be safe, has good schools, that thing. That's how those work. There's some opportunity coming up, by the way. There's two big companies I'll mention. Home Partners of America, backed by BlackRock, one of the biggest funds ever, and Divvy, D-I-V-Y. I forget who they were backed by, but a fund. They're not working with individual investors, mom and pop investors like us, but they both pulled out of the market within the last 6 months, or at least shutting things down or putting things on pause. I think I could speculate on why. I think it's a timing thing, where they started and where they ended. So anyway, some opportunity for us and our busy professional investors to get in now, while rates are up, but prices are down. So anyway, that's a longer conversation. Have you done any rent-to-own investing yourself, or?
No, I have not, but that's what I wanted to. I've heard these terms, lease to, all of these different terms that you described. Most of mine were just purchase standard. Again, I did the house hacking and the BRRRR method, but there was something really interesting is I was talking with my wife the other day, and I was like, yeah, real estate investors got burned with the interest rate hikes recently, and then now real estate investors, especially the high net worth ones that invested in California, Los Angeles, and now they got burned with the fires. And then here in Texas, we're getting snowstorms, and like Texas is not equipped to handle winter or summer. Where does this leave real estate investors? Because it seems like real estate investors is more of a pain in the pain. Than you get great returns, you get all these advantages, but it's not as an asset class. It's not that great anymore. What do you think?
How do I even respond to that question? Because there's a lot behind that question, right? There's always opportunity to invest in real estate, right? Looking at where the market is, where rates are, where prices are, where the trends are. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen those interactive maps that show people moving from California to Austin or Florida. Like, those are pretty interesting maps, usually based on moving companies' data that they've got. And then each strategy, like we like rent to own, but finding those good buyers with the 10% or more down, they're not just everywhere. So that's why we've added on the co-living investing, because there's definitely a need there. Affordability, solving the affordability problem for buyers, we can't really do anything about that. Like with rent to own, if somebody can't afford a house, they can't afford a house. Now rent with co-living, that's really solving a problem. So as an example, Denver, a 1-bedroom apartment is going to start around $1,500 and go up, right? There's a lot of workforce people work in restaurants, drive an Uber, like the gal that we just got in yesterday. They can't afford that $1,500 a month, and their food and their insurance and their car, all of it. Like, they just simply can't afford it. So co-living solves that problem. And one of the beautiful things that just happened in Denver about 4 months ago is our governor, who's trying to help solve this affordability problem, opened up all of Colorado. So there's no limit to how many individual people live in a home. The only thing that can trump that is HOAs. So we don't buy in HOAs. And we're some of the pushback we get with co-living is parking. That's the main thing that's going to annoy neighbors. Landscaping, got a bunch of people living in the house and they're not taking care of the property. So we pay for cleaning, pay for landscaping, try to find properties that have enough off-street parking or on a corner, or like the house we just opened. There's one driveway, easily 2 spots in front. And then we've asked the other 3 people that live in the 6-bed home just to park 2 houses over on a side street that has no pressure. Those are like ways we look at co-living and make it work. So, but like solving that affordability thing. So back to the numbers. So $1,500 rent or more for an apartment. You can get a bedroom with the shared space for $850, give or take, depending. Like a small room might be $100 or $800, and you might be $950 for a room that's got its own bathroom, as an example. It's giving all these people an option. Anyway, that's why we like co-living. And like I said, more cash flow. Of course, the management, there's more to that. So that's where we help out on the hosting side, just help people get onboarded, get into the home, settled in. And if we got to deal with any disputes between people, of course, that's going to happen. So we've got a very extensive set of rules that we ask people to stick by. And it's people think, oh, it must be a nightmare managing these people. They self-police in a way. Usually 6 or 8 people, you end up getting a mama bear type person that control. And then if somebody's breaking rules, you have the people kind of tattling on each other. You have to manage that, but usually we hear about it. And then we have the cleaners going in at least once a month, and they're our eyes and ears as well. So we are seeing what's going on in the house as opposed to a regular rental. Most long-term landlords, they might go in once a year. It might be years that go by, and then you go in and go, oh no, they've destroyed the place, and you had no idea. We know, like every 30 days at least, we got somebody in there looking, and we'll assign somebody to that kind of once we determine somebody's kind of the D on the disc profile that's going to be maybe be a good manager. We'll ask them, hey, do you want to run things here? Make sure the trash gets put out. And if anybody's breaking rules, let us know. And we'll give them a discount on their rent for doing that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of ways that we handle this. It's interesting because there's other people that are hosts that handle things different. So we pick and choose what we like. And if something's not working in like one house, everybody loves each other and gets along and has game nights and stuff. Or other houses, maybe no one even talks to each other. Based on how the people interact, we can adjust things like that. So it's interesting, but we got a lot of tools in our belt to make it work. And like I said, provide affordable housing that is really needed. So anyway, yeah, I could talk your ear off about co-living.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I remember because I tried co-living. I tried that model, and it's what you were describing, all these, especially it's another different. And I love how you talked about you have tools in your belt to deal with these different. And how can people find you and follow you, your social media, and reach out to you?
Go to Linktree/partner with James Brown. And I got a bunch of links on there. So, yeah, that's the easiest way.
Excellent. Thanks so much, and keep up the great work.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.